How's it going, guys? Bearded Finds here. We're in a very special place called Cassadaga, Florida. Just behind me I have the Cassadaga Hotel, and we also have the visitor center and bookstore. Now, Cassadaga was founded in 1894 by spiritualist George P. Colby, who said he was guided by a Native American Seneca spirit to establish this community, the community of Cassadaga, which, by the way, there's also a Cassadaga, New York that this community is named after. He believed he could speak with the dead, and he believed he could teach other people to do it too. So other people started to believe him. They all moved here. They made tents and different kinds of ways to live that were pretty temporary, and over time they became permanent. The camp was founded in 1894, and it still exists today. And that makes Cassadaga one of the oldest active spiritualist communities in the United States of America. There's nobody here. It's a Saturday, and the weather is in the 50s, so let's go check it out and see what there is to see here. I haven't seen one person. It would appear that I'm out here all alone.
My name's Ross, and I'm just a normal bearded guy with a knack for adventure. I'm a videographer by trade who enjoys hiking and exploring our wilderness.
Doesn't look like anybody's been here for quite some time.
But my true passion is exploring for history and teaching others about my discoveries.
This looks like an old marker. The cattle would walk through and it would kill that parasitic tick. I believe we found our old homestead, folks.
I love Florida, and that comes with its nature too.
There's simply black widows everywhere.
So whether I'm walking through the wilderness,
Old cinder blocks,
private land,
you guys can just kind of see the size of this wall behind me,
a cemetery, or an old city, I'm aiming to prove that if you look hard enough, there's more history still around us than you might think.
I can't see an open door and not just at least look in. That is awesome. Aha, aha, aha. There's an old railroad tie sticking out.
So join me as I take you along on my journeys, where anything can happen. But it's all part of the adventure. The big question is, what will I find next?
Coming up here now on the Hotel Cassadaga. It is regarded as one of the most haunted hotels in the state of Florida, and you can, if you believe in the paranormal, come book a room, stay here, and do a little bit of ghost hunting and paranormal investigating for yourself. We're going to walk inside and show you what the inside of the Hotel Cassadaga looks like. As you can see, it was pretty small. It's not anything like a hotel would be today, where you have a massive lobby and a Starbucks and a place to go be, and and usually an internet area where you can use a computer. Back then, hotels like this were really the heartbeat of America. And I mean that as in, if you were on a road trip, you would pass a hotel like this, and this was your option to stay for the evening. So when you see old hotels like this and you walk in and it's just a little spit of a room, that's how it really would be. It'd have a small lobby, a bar, and the rooms were upstairs. So you can see that the Hotel Cassadaga staff and owners have still maintained that look, and it really pays off, because when you walk in, you do feel transported right back to 1926. The Hotel Cassadaga offers readings, healings, there's a gift shop, metaphysical classes. You can walk in or call this number for appointments, or visit hotelcassadaga.com. This is another old house. Pretty overgrown, but there's somebody living here. Ferry crossing. So this is Horseshoe Park and Fairy Trail, and this is a really interesting garden. You will not find a garden like this, honestly, anywhere else in the state of Florida, and I will show you why. Is a local legend about this garden that there are fairies that live here, and that if you leave something for the fairies, you'll be blessed with good fortune for morally thinking of them. It is quite a peaceful place. Down this path, we found this memorial bench. It appears to be a makeshift memorial for somebody named Cassie. This box is some ways that people have come to mourn, and it says, a space to visit Cassie. Please feel free to add or adjust items to Cassie's place in the fairy garden. Memories to share or sit and write her a letter to soothe your soul. You can see as well that there are other people who have left her letters. Hey Cassie, I don't know you personally, but you're beautiful. What your loved one set up for you here at the fairy garden is absolutely precious. I know you still see these, and I hear your people. I feel you here as I write this to you. May you rest in peace and fly high in heaven. You are healed. Keep on smiling, Michaela. This is so beautiful that people would take the time to write stuff like this for somebody they didn't even know. And you can write something too. We're gonna go ahead and close this and put it back where we found it. And we don't know how Cassie passed away, but we sure hope that she is flying high. The golden rule with exploring and walking on hiking trails is that you don't leave anything behind, but this is a city and community effort. And because the city allows it and the community's into it, it survives. And it does definitely add a little bit of uniqueness to this very spiritually connected part of town. My sister found this old park. We have some old foundations here just buried under some of these, and now we really don't know what any of this is. It could have just been a park to begin with, or maybe this was the front step of somebody's house. We will never know. But this is Medicine Wheel Park. It says it's honoring the Native American spirit. Check out some of these old bricks. These are probably dating back to the turn of the century. These rounded, look how mossed up these are. These have been here for a long time. Check that out. It's pathways that just kind of go in random places. I'm sure we could explore all of it. This pathway goes down and is immediately blocked by this massive tree. Just to give you a little bit of age, how old this foundation is. Makes me wonder if there was something here, like a large house, or I'm not sure if this was always a park. These retaining walls are starting to crack over. Very similar to Rayner's cabin, actually, when I'm looking at these, but these are definitely older than what Rayner had going on. A very cool find, a very interesting find. Some bricks here. As we exit the park, we notice this old driveway of concrete with the old border here, which just further supports what we think was likely a driveway where somebody would pull up, they would park maybe a carriage or their horse, or maybe a car, maybe back in the day. In these areas right here, maybe a building stood, and maybe a building stood. There are some foundation steps that lead up into nothing here, some steps that lead down that way, and then there's this massive tree that is kind of just blocking the stairs. So we are theorizing, but we don't know, that there was once a property here, maybe a building or two buildings, and over time the property either fell to disrepair or was burned down, or something happened where the property collapsed or was taken down on purpose and was made into this Medicine Wheel Park. Just on the edge of the bookstore is the Cassadaga Welcome Center. I'm sitting now on a couch. There's really nobody in here in the Welcome Center side, but I did notice some interesting things on the table here I wanted to show you. Like the Cassadaga Spirit Tour photography album. So these are all photos of what they believe to be paranormal evidence caught on camera. And these are people doing these same things, and hey, check it out. That bench looks really familiar. I think that's over at Medicine Wheel Park. People believe these to be balls of light, an orb, perhaps the energy of a passed on living person and their spirit remaining. A lot of these houses and places we walked past
Their business cards here are in alphabetical order too, and all of our mediums are in here by alphabetical or last name as well.
Here's some old photos they've hung on the wall here. People from Stetson University, maybe people that have lived in the area. The city of Cassadaga is abundant with parks, and they really put them in places where there used to be things and maybe there's nothing anymore. And here we have a very obvious foundation to what used to be a house or a building of some sort. So we're going to go down these stairs and check it out. We're going to step into what would have been the walls of the house. Look how it sits just beyond the road here, and this little divot of land would have been a house or a building. Here's some evidence of that. On the ground, we actually have a brick with a stamp on it. And that means whoever bought the bricks to supply this project bought them from a notable company, which points to the fact that that person had money. So this could have been a rather large home. See the brick pulling away from that foundation there. I would say something like this, probably around the turn of the century, 1900 or so. And today it's just a slab of cement beyond this parking lot where people can kind of just hang out. You're more than welcome to walk right up to it and see it. Some more of that exposed brick. Very cool. Some in the ground here. Coming down the road here, we found another park, so we decided to pull over and check out this lake view because you really don't see this very often in Florida. Just one single house. This little lake. If this was Metro Orlando, you'd have a neighborhood over here, you would have an apartment complex and condos here, a Walmart here, but this is what old Florida really truly looked like. Now imagine waking up every morning in that house and sitting on that porch, and this is your view, and there's nobody else on this lake but you, and you're watching the fog float across the water and listening to the birds make their music. You're probably wondering what this is. I was too. Somebody took the time to stick these feathers up. Could be some sort of spiritual offering. It could be really just a piece of art, but whatever it is, we enjoy it from afar and we don't touch it. Just outside of the post office in Cassadaga, you will find the Haunted History Museum. Cool. Good morning. How are you? We're great.
This is the Haunted History Museum.
Oh, cool.
They're on 126 years old this year.
Wow.
We got 9 rooms, and it's $15 a person to go in. Okay. Cash, credit, or Apple Pay.
You ever had anything creepy happen while you were working here? Is it pretty quiet?
Sometimes no.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yeah, depending on the spirit.
So we just left the Purple Rose, which is next to that old haunted museum. And the person working at the counter at the Purple Rose said that it was originally the city's post office before the one right behind me was built in the 70s or the 60s. So now we know. She also tipped us off to this really cool bamboo garden. Gave us a map and said it's the most peaceful place in Cassadaga. So we're gonna head that way and see what this bamboo garden is all about. Just at the edge of this large playground lies a section of paths that's been maintained by the city, paved. And we are on the hunt for our bamboo garden. So we've stepped off of the trails that are paved and onto trails that are unpaved. And we are finding that the place that we're walking does have historic significance. The land behind me here used to be a grapefruit grove that was funded in part by George Colby, who helped kind of found this spiritualist camp. So these lands that we're walking on right here are kind of part of, what would have been some working land for the people that lived in this area. Colby Alderman Park, it is named. So there's your hint. Still on the hunt for this bamboo forest. Hopefully we will find it. Now, Colby founded this land and established his spiritualist camp here. He arrived via the St. Johns River, and they already had, as mentioned earlier in the video, a spiritualist camp in New York named Cassadaga, and they wanted to have one in Florida as well. So they came via St. John's, Colby himself, and he hopped off the boat and began to found his spiritual camp project. Today, as we're walking through these trails, we can almost imagine that camp-like atmosphere where people maybe would have come and they're doing their, at that time, very taboo things. So obviously, over time, there's been quite the legend and lore of true and untrue facts about Cassadaga, which was partly why I decided to make this video, because I figured if we could all go there together, you could see what it looks like. Make your own assumptions and your own opinions. Here we come to a fork in the trail. So now we kind of have to figure out where we're going. Finally, we've arrived at another fork, and I was just about to worry, but then I found the bamboo garden. So let's see what it looks like. Wow, look how incredible that is. You can really see how it stands out. Such a juxtapose against everything behind it and around it. You have these tall pine trees and oak trees, and then this massive clump of bamboo. Bamboo has to be planted. So somebody planted this here a long time ago. And the path weaves in and out of these bamboo trees. Quite the interesting type of leaves that fall on the ground. Totally changes the look of the trail in Florida. You're used to seeing just oak tree leaves on the ground. Here you have bamboo tree leaves. So it just makes a really cool hike. Very unique. This almost looks like somewhere in Asia. Well, I have to say, folks, I've been through a lot of pieces of forest in my life. She said it was the most peaceful place you would ever go. And I will give it to her. The cashier at the Purple Rose was not wrong, because just look how beautiful this stuff is. You really feel just surrounded by nature. I see this bridge down here. My goodness. Bit of a natural creek here, pumping water out. You can see the tannins in the water, natural sediments, turning that a slight brown tone. And above it, troves and troves and troves of bamboo. It really is something special. I mean, you're walking through this bamboo, the sound of it as it crunches under your feet, the leaves sound different, it smells different, everything is different. I would have to assume that for a bamboo formation like this to happen, you're probably talking close to over 100 years of history. These bamboo trees grow quite slowly, and as you can tell, a slow growth to make such a massive amount of trees, and the canopy above you, it really is something to see. It's something you really don't get to see in Florida. So if you're ever in Cassadaga, come on over to that park, Colby Alderman Park, and find yourself the bamboo forest. We are walking down the path to leave the park next to this small nature lookout. My sister pointed out on the ground there are, among the rocks, small bits of shiny, either tile, looks like could be pottery, looks like a clay base. It is pretty lightweight. It is old. It's been out here for a long time. This one has like some vertical striations on it. Sometimes trails like this, they'll just grade over what was here, and you can still find pieces of whatever it was. This too. Definitely not a rock like this. This is a piece of concrete gravel. As you can see, there's nothing interesting about it, but these three pieces, that's interesting. Well, we're here at the last place on our Cassadaga trip, and that is the Cassadaga Cemetery. I'm standing now on what is the additional overflow of cemetery graves. So these graves are from the past 40 years or so. But behind me, you'll see this hill. That's where the oldest part of the graves are. We're gonna go check it out. And the cemetery dates back quite a while. We'll see that dictated on some of the gravestones here, but there's one famous grave site that I'm gonna take you to, and they call it the Devil's Chair. Now, unfortunately, some of the folklore and legends of Cassadaga precede it, and this is one of them. This is actually the grave of a child, and the chair was placed there by their mother so they could come mourn the child's death. However, over time, the last 20, 30 years or so, maybe longer than that, people have said that the chair haunts anybody who sits in it, that if you sit in the chair, the devil himself will be presented. Obviously, this is not going to happen. We're in a cemetery, right? So we're here to show you that, show you some of the other gravestones around, educate the public what is and what isn't true. Right here off the edge of the road, you'll find a very old wooden gravestone. I guess you could call it grave wood, because it's not stone at all. You can barely make out what this says. It is quite hard to read. I can see the words born and died. 1923 born, died in 94? 3/30, 94. Oh, I see. There's a dash right here. They were born in 23 and died in 94. I have to assume with a grave like this, that person was born in 1823 and died in 1894. Look how they've just affixed it here with this brace, a couple screws, and this wooden headstone. Still out here today. Now, we're not the only people here in the cemetery. One of the most popular places to come for people who are visiting Cassadaga is the cemetery. So when we got here, there were two girls checking out the Devil's Chair, and it just goes to show you that these little tiny towns can still be reached on the internet, where people can find out they exist, come check them out for themselves. Some of these graves are showing kind of the age of the cemetery. This is 1922. Another one here from 1936. Our darling Douglas Hamilton. Budded on earth to bloom in heaven. 1926. They lived for 6 days before they passed away. Here's your quote-unquote devil's chair. Doesn't look too evil to me. But you can see that there are two headstones here. You can just barely make that one out. That one's from 1926. This one I don't believe was ever filled in. Here is your folklore chair. A place where you can mourn your family members, be with them. There's another devil's chair. There's devil chairs everywhere. They're so scary they decided to build 2. This is the grave of the child that we spoke about. And a relative who lived quite a lot longer than the child. Lots of footsteps in here. This is somebody left a quarter. I don't know, you guys. Does it feel like the devil's gonna come out and haunt me for the rest of my life? No. But if you like the idea of being buried, sure is a peaceful place to come and sit. Well, guys, that about wraps up Cassadaga, Florida. Fitting that we ended here in the cemetery to debunk that theory. If ever you find yourself near the DeLand area, definitely make a stop here at Cassadaga and experience a slice of old Florida, still untouched, that you can actively walk into and check out. I hope that you join us on the next episode, wherever that may be, and we'll see you there. Bearded Finds out. Peace.